All right, here with Coach Blackwood, retired coach, most recently with the University of Texas, San Antonio. Here talking about at some point your induction into the Texas Track and Field Hall of Fame with the class of 2021. But first, Coach, let's start back a little bit. Let's go back to Abilene High School.
Okay.
1959, you're part of a state title team. You're second in the state in the 880. What are some of your memories, some of your favorite memories as an athlete?
Well, the year before, I went out for baseball, and I got cut for the baseball team, so I went out for track. I didn't make a meet as a sophomore. Then as a junior, at the district meet, out of 14 guys, I got 13th. I beat one guy in the mile. I think I ran about a 4, whatever. But some reason a light turned on, and the next year I ran really well and had a lot of scholarships and so forth. I even had a partial scholarship to Oregon, but then of course I was offered at Abilene Christian, and I took that for sure. But the state championship meet was great for us. We didn't lose a meet all year long. We had some great athletes at Abilene, and it was like a tradition at Abilene High School with 3 state championships in football, 4 in track eventually. Baseball had a couple, so expected to do a lot at Abilene High. Same thing at Abilene Christian. You get over there.
Oh yeah.
And I was able to be around Bobby Mara and Bill Woodhouse, who were obviously great sprinters, and that was kind of fun. And then of course Earl Young was Olympic in Hamilton, and so I was around all of those guys. But the key to all this to me is the coaches that I had. Bob Gross at Abilene High was a super coach, and then to have Oliver Jackson and Bill McClure, who was Olympic coach at one time in Munich, was unbelievable. So anything what I did, if I had any success in coaching, is the fact that I was a good copier. I copied what all these guys. I'd see what the next guy was doing, and if I was at a track meet and Tom Pelez was there later on, and who he'd write down for the University of Houston, I'd write it down too, because I figured. So, if I did anything, I was a good copier.
What are some of your favorite memories as a coach? And I'm going to ask you to recall the story about giving former decathlete Tim Taft a Matchbox car.
Oh, yeah.
Out of your briefcase. Well,
I told him, I said, if you come, Tech had offered him a lot of scholarship. I offered him books, tuition, and fees. But I said, I'll also get you a car. And of course, as a joke, I decided I gave him a little miniature car. And Tech had offered him a full. My friend Corky, and Corky kept saying, we got to be serious about this. But that's why I got Tim. And Tim was a great athlete. And he did really well in the, he was head of Whataburger for a long time and all these things. I'm so proud of him. He did a magnificent job, and a great pole vaulter, great decathlete. It was something else.
What are some of your other favorite memories? I mean, you spent a long time at UTSA, et cetera.
Probably my favorite memory of all those situations was 2 things. I finally coached 2 guys that broke 4 minutes in the mile. Reed Fisher from Highland Park.
Right.
And at the Astrodome in that indoor meet, he was on the fastest indoor mile up to that point. McCurry and some of those guys were in that race. And he was 6th place. And so they gave me the watch that timed him in first place. And so I was playing around with it and got it off. And it took me 3 or 4 days to finally get that stopwatch back to where it was 3:59.7 or whatever. And then later on, Paul Craig broke it. And then we tried to run 1,500 meters, and, that sort of changed everything. I guess some of the favorite memories obviously had to be Johnny Lim Jones. You can't really beat that. I was also able, in my career, to coach Henry Marsh, who was an American record holder in the steeple. And of course, Patrick Sang, a silver medalist in the Olympics in Barcelona. And I wish I had a picture of it when they did the flags. He was second, and he did the hook 'em horn sign. But I never could find a picture of that. Wouldn't that have been really cool?
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, but Lamb's situation was somewhat different. I think Cleveland Price did a magnificent job bringing him along like he did, because he had a long season in high school.
Right.
I remember the first time I watched him, he was a junior, and they had this little state meet, or not little state, something in Belton for state qualifiers, and he won. He ran like 49 flat. I think that's what he won at state. Ran at state, and then he came back, and of course he played at spring football. I mean, not football. He had, did all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had football season, basketball season, and track season. And I think one of the neatest stories about all this was his coach, Scott Boyd, wanted to time him in a 100-yard dash on the field. They didn't have a track at Lampasas. They would come in and work out at UT once a week. Of course, we'd let them because we wanted it. And Scott gets out there, and he won't Johnny run 100, and then Scott timed him, and had one of the assistant coaches start him, and see ran on the grass. And then Scott looks at the watch and puts the watch in his pocket. He said, "Well, I missed you. Let's run it again." So he got what he did. He went down and took the steps, and he got one of his assistant coaches to time this time. He started him. Johnny came down, and he ran on grass like 9.5, and the coach put the watch in his pocket real quick. Scott ran down and said, "What did you get?" He said, "Coach, I missed him." I said, No, what did you get?" He said, 9.5. 3 days later, he goes to Brownwood and runs 9.2 at yards, and then the rest is history.
Wow.
And I think the fun thing about recruiting him was I went with Ken Dabbs, a recruiting guy for football, and his grandfather was a Baptist minister there, but his uncle owned an Exxon station. And we would continually go to the Exxon station. I kept telling Dad, I said, "You low on gas." He said, "There's a reason." So we pulled into the Exxon station, we gassed up, and then we'd drive around, see Johnny, we'd come back and gas again. And then the uncle would always give us a soda pop of some type, but I think I did that twice. I made sure that the uncle, of course, then we ended up getting him, and then of course, rest is history of the Olympic team and so forth. But and then at the Texas Relays, when he ran what he did, his freshman year, he ran 9,800 meters. At that time was a world record for hand time, but he ended up running 20.1, ran 44.3 on a relay, and all that stuff. But he wasn't 100 yards behind like people say.
Right.
He was about 35 yards behind, because the guys from Brenham and Odessa, Ector, ran 47.5. If that's the case, he was 100 yards behind, and Johnny ran about a 34. I'm kidding. Bill Miller and I, we were sitting on the finish line. Bill got him in 44.8, and I got him in 44.9.
Yeah, Johnny actually showed me the DVD of the footage. He came to my house and showed me that, because someone had recently found it. And then they turned it into a DVD that is now available.
What Johnny was, he was kind of scared of success to a point. And there were a couple of times he didn't want to anchor a relay, and we had Ray Claiborne, he didn't care who he was running against. He'd take on anybody. And Ray Clay was a great guy. I think one of the saddest moments we had at the NCAA, you had to run 3 days. You had to run Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thursday, we set stadium record, University of Illinois. And then the next day, we're in a heat with USC and Tennessee and all those guys. And we end up running 39.3 with one guy standing dead still. Out of the zone. And Johnny turned to get the baton. And so Ray Clay gave us a heck of a lead. And then then Johnny got the baton. Our third kid, a Jamaican kid, got out too quick, and that he had to stop to get the baton. And he brings it to Johnny, and Johnny hauls, and we run 38, 2 or 3 probably.
Wow.
that good, I think, but who knows? But when that race is over, I went up in those all four of those guys warm up area crying, and that's not a lot of fun. But and then of course Patrick saying what he did, you know, and then many times, and of course Henry Marsh, and it's been a good ride, I guess. But you know what? The most fun I ever had coaching, you know what it was?
Yes, sir.
Eighth grade football team at Man Junior High School in Abilene. We were 8-2 in our season, and then I moved over to Cooper when the coaches quit out there. So I moved over to Cooper, and then I went to Ray High School, and then we won a state championship there in cross country. And I went to King, and we did pretty well there. I had one kid named Tom Broderick broke the world record indoors for in 47.7, I think, at the Astrodome. And of course, I have Henry Marsh, ran his sophomore there. And then he goes on to Brigham Young. He was on 4 Olympic teams, and he was something else. Is he an all honor for y'all or not?
Not yet.
Okay, but he would be a great one, I think.
So it's funny, you go through all these coaching memories and great names, and obviously, and deservedly so, spend a little bit of extra time on Lamb. Why does 8th grade middle school football stick out to you?
Well, it was my first coaching deal. And I was teaching driver's ed at Man Junior High School. And I'd been at Cooper helping the distance runners the year before when I was at Abilene Christian. But these kids were, you know, not in the greatest of money situations, and yet they were out there and played their butts off. And it was my first coaching deal, and it was so enjoyable for that. You know, I mean, I've been to 3 Olympic games, and these guys win medals and all that, but that's still one of the fondest memories. More fun coaching, you know what I mean? I was young. I didn't know what basically I didn't know a lot about football, but I tried to learn as fast as I could. And then, you know, I went into football with Coach Akers and Coach McWilliams, and that worked out pretty well.
No doubt. Now, you mentioned early on in our conversation, and a lot of coaches will echo this, that you're a great copier. So who are some of your mentors that have really impacted your coaching?
Well, I think Bob Gross-Close, obviously, at Abilene High. Then I think probably, you know, Oliver Jackson, who would, Bobby Mara, Bill McClure, who was a great, great coach. Coach Bowerman, Bill Dillinger, those guys too, and what they did about fast, easy days, you know, all those things. Those guys particularly, because they had written a lot of stuff, and I'd see them at meets or something, and I'd talk to them and kind of visit a long time. And Bill Dillinger, I think, was a great, great guy, still is, and of course Coach Bowerman, and it was Coach Bowerman sort of reminded me of Coach Bryant. You know, he had that big old hat on and all this kind of stuff. No, those were the ones, I think. And then there are the people I'd worked with, Jerry Dice at Ray High School, and people like that. And so but you just sit and you learn, you listen to people,
right?
And you think that, hey, well, maybe this will work for me, and I guess it did. I don't know.
Has it been fun and interesting as your coaching career moved on that younger coaches did that same to you?
I don't know. Who knows? You know, the thing that I truly missed the first year when I finally retired, I just said, you know, this is horrible. It was because, you know, I just coaching the women's team at UTSA, because we had Ryan Dupree, and she was like 6-time All-American, and
right.
She'd have been 6 foot tall. She'd have been world record holder because she was really, really good. And we had a couple other All-Americans, and that went well. But you listen to those kids, and it's so funny. We used to work out 6:30 in the morning in the fall, Monday, Tuesday, let me have Wednesday off, then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And Saturday we worked out at about 10 o'clock. And so the girls came to me and said, Coach, can we change our workout time? I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I said, you guys want to work out at 11 or 12? And they said, no, sir, we'd like to stay at 6:30 because we wake up anyway. So you knew you had them buying into your system at that point. And I had some good coaches. I had with, I mean, it was a good group of people. So it's just Rose Mundy. She's going to be the head of women's Olympic coach.
Right.
She was on my staff, and George Ross, he coached at Judson, a lot of success, and of course Jerry Dice, is one of the great coaches that ever been around, so knowledgeable, and he and Ryan got along really, really well, and so those it's a blend of everything. You sit around and you talk, and you figure this and figure that, and then of course recruiting, you just got to get out there and tell them you love them and get them in and go from there. And Aaron Fox too, he's done a great job out there, and he's a great coach. I mean,
no doubt.
That facility they have is probably as nice as anybody's. And,
yeah, it's a beautiful facility. IAAF certified, et cetera.
Oh yeah, it's the only IAAA certified track. Texas not even IAAA certified.
No, you're right. Finally, Coach, give us some of your thoughts on being inducted into the Texas Track and Field Hall of Fame, joining the class of 2021.
Well, it to me, it's a great honor. Because to me, the best track coaches in the United States and the high schools are in the state of Texas. And I've been to probably 30 states.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wanted to be a coach. From the time I was in the 9th grade, I wanted to be a coach. I'd come back and help Russell McClure, who was Bill McClure's brother, at Bowie Elementary. And I coached assistant coach in football and I was only 2 years older than the guys on the team, but still, all of that. But I just want to thank everybody that allowed me to do this and get in. And I got a wonderful plaque, and it's hanging proudly in my house. But like I said, I want to be a coach a long time, and it's such an honor to be honored by coaches. And so that's the way I feel about it, and that's the way it is. And we beat Colorado last night.
There you go. with an impressive group of
young kids.
Players. Yeah, no doubt.
Well, that kid from Arizona and stuff. He averaged 18 yards a carry last night.
Yeah.
And then the quarterback from Oklahoma that came in he threw 4 touchdown passes. He's good.
Yep. In the second half, it looked good.
Yeah.
Coach, we appreciate your time.
No, I appreciate what you guys do, and this has been really nice, and so whatever.
And like we mentioned, we're going to bring the class of 2021 in with the class of 2022, and just have one big celebration.
Good.
In person.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, thank you very much for doing all you do. I think it's great, and guess we got through this.
Yes, sir. You have a wonderful day, and we will talk with you soon.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Take care. Bye. If I can figure out how to get out of this, I'll